I remember getting ready to launch my very first book, and I had this overwhelming question that kept coming up, which is, how do I make this book launch successful? And then that led me to ask me several more questions where I was like, what do I need to do to be a bestseller? Is best-selling author even a possibility for somebody like me? What can I do to not just have success at the beginning, but build something that will actually be sustainable and lead to long-term success? You see, for my very first book, I didn't know what I didn't know. I just tried to figure it out along the way. And now, as I'm recording this, I've written 4 best-selling books before I turned 30, and I've helped hundreds of people around the world do the same thing. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about the launch strategy, the 3-step book launch strategy that I've really figured out that will help you hit bestseller status and make more money. You see, there are 2 goals here. There are 2 goals here that I really want to accomplish. Number 1 is I want to show you how to hit bestseller status and what that actually means. And then 2 is I want to show you how you can build up a launch so that you can actually build long-term success so that you're not just a launch day or launch week sensation, but you're actually building a book that can turn into a back-end business. So let me tell you a little bit about this. Okay, when I did my first book, and you just heard some of the questions that I asked myself, I really didn't know how to launch a book. I'd never done it before. I was 22 years old. And so I used Google for every single thing, and there were a lot of different strategies. And so I remember for my first book, I tried to do everything. Now, at the time when I started to think about my launch, I didn't even think about bestseller status until only a little bit before my launch. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to do this, why not go big? Why not shoot for the stars? Why not go big or go home? And that's when I really started to formulate, what could a bestseller launch campaign be? What does that even mean? And what I've come to learn is what a bestseller means on Amazon is to be the #1 rated book in a specific category at a given moment in time. Okay, Amazon updates their rankings, and that's always changing. But at every moment in time, there is a bestsellers list. There is the overall top 100 books. There is the Amazon charts, but then there's category bestsellers. And what this means is that your book is the #1 best-selling book in a specific category. That's what we define bestseller status is on Amazon, okay? And I'm going to share with you right now what I've learned over the years and how I've boiled it down to 3 steps that I think anybody can use from a beginner launch to an advanced launch that will really help optimize your chances of bestseller status while also helping you create not just a great day or great week for your launch, but a great momentum builder for the rest of your business. All right, and that's the distinction I want you to make here is I'm not just going to give you something that's going to solve a problem today. I'm going to make sure that you have the solution so that you can optimize for today, but set yourself up for tomorrow. And so back to when I was working on my first book, I tried literally everything I could think of. I tried every technique that I read about on Google, anything that I could possibly get my hands on, I tried it. And here what was really cool, the good news, the bad news. The good news is I tried all of these amazing things. I spent money, time, and energy, and they worked. I hit bestseller status in multiple categories. But here's the bad news. I had no idea what worked better than the rest, and that was so much effort just to get these results. And I was so excited, I was so grateful for these results, but I thought that there had to be a better way. So fast forward 2 years, and that's when I started to get ready for my second book release. And so what I did this time for my second book, excuse me, is instead of trying to do everything that I had done on the first one, I tried to really boil it down into, okay, what was the amount of time I spent? What was the amount of energy? What was the amount of money I invested? And what were the results? And some of these things I started to separate, and I started to see, okay, let's try something with this. Let's try something with that. Now, here's what's also really important to understand is that when you launch a book, you have your initial launch, which often is when you get the most amount of traffic to your page. But here's the other thing that's really important to know is you can be ranked 500,000 for the first month, but then absolutely take off in the next month and be ranked in the top 10,000 of all books that exist in the world. And you can hit bestseller status at the very beginning, the next week, the following week, whenever. It's all just dependent on how many books you're selling. And so that was really important for me to recognize, you know what, when I launch a second book, I'm going to test a few things. If they work really, really well, I'll know that I optimized. And if they don't work really well, then I'll try the other things and see if I can get a better result. Well, fast forward, and I hit bestseller status in even more categories than the first time. And I was like, okay, here are some of the things that I thought really worked. Fast forward to book number 3, and I started to get it more and more dialed in. Less time, less effort, better results. And then book 4 came, And I was like, okay, I think I've boiled it down really, really clearly. I've been helping some people do this at the same time. And I was like, all right, here is the plan. So I executed step A, step B, step C. And I was like, all right, these are the core things that I believe are going to move the needle the most when it comes time for launch day. And with the lowest amount of effort input into my launch, I had the greatest return and the most successful launch. To date, my fourth book, Big Idea to Bestseller, has been my most successful book, both in terms of copies sold, copies read, and revenue generated from that book. And I realized that there's a clear process to the launch strategy. And that's allowed me to help hundreds and hundreds of people around the world be able to implement a very similar strategy based on their book, based on their genre, and based on their back-end goals. Because that's really important. You have to understand, why are you writing this book? It's not just to become a bestseller. That's often one of the reasons, but there's often more reasons, and we want to make sure the launch strategy encompasses everything you desire. So let's break down, okay? Let's break down the three pieces that I believe are really, really important for a successful launch to start to build that life-changing momentum, right? Now, before I share this, though, I want to make it very, very clear. Just because you follow this and you have a great launch, it doesn't mean that you never have to talk about your book again. As a matter of fact, I couldn't disagree with that more. You need to talk about your book. If you're the author, you have to talk about your book. Okay, because if you can't talk about your book over and over and over again, then who else is going to talk about your book? You need to be your own biggest fan, your own biggest cheerleader, and your own biggest supporter, because you did something special. All right, you wrote the book. You are launching the book. It's your book, your success, your story, your message, and your future impact that you get to make. So without further ado, let's talk about 3 steps. Step number 1 is you want to have a paid launch. Okay, now you're like, Jake, wow, really revolutionary concept there. Let me explain what I'm referencing here. What I like to do on launch is I like to have a very clear launch price. Okay, now oftentimes this equates to having the ebook be at a discounted rate, and it has the paperback being put at whatever price you want the market to see it as. There's different reasons why you would price at various different price points, but for launch, there's often the discounted ebook as well as the paperback. Now here's what's really, really amazing about this. When you set a specific launch price, you're able to create urgency. All right. You're not really focusing on scarcity, trying to sell a certain amount of copies before a certain amount of time. You're focused more on urgency, having people buy before something expires. And in this case, you're creating a sense of urgency because you're having launch week pricing. This is going to help people really make their decision of like, wow, I'm interested in this book and there's a special launch price. I want to get it before the price goes up. For some people, this can be significant. For example, if you have your ebook priced at 99 cents, $1.99, $2.99, well, you might eventually want it to be $7.99, $8.99, $9.99, $10.99 or more, and that is a huge difference. So by giving people the chance to have a special launch price, you're going to likely increase your conversion rate for the people who are considering buying your book. What's also really cool about this is with a specific launch price, you're often able to run other types of promotions. We're not going to get into that in this particular video because it's not, in my opinion, absolutely necessary. But it can be a great supplemental thing to include where you buy paid promotions for your launch price book. The second part of this first step here is once you have your set launch price, what I want you to do is I want you to create and drive intentional traffic to one sales page. A lot of people make the mistake of trying to direct people like, go here, go wherever books are sold. And that's great depending on your objective. If you are looking to be an Amazon bestseller, all it requires is you to sell books on Amazon. So what I want to encourage you to do, what I want to encourage you to do though is I want you to focus on driving people to the Amazon sales page for the book format that you're looking to sell. What this does is it creates very clear instructions on what people should go to and where people should go to buy your book. This eliminates confusion or buyer confusion. And we all know that confused buyers don't buy. And so by having a special price on a specific page, you're able to drive people directly to one place. That increases your chances of conversion. That increases your chances of people knowing exactly where to go. And for Amazon bestseller, that increases the chances you're going to sell more copies via the Amazon platform, one of the biggest bookstores in the world. That's huge. The second step of this, so now we have a reason and place for people to go. The second step of this launch strategy is your launch team. Now, a launch team can be created and done in many, many different ways. I want to give you the simplest way of doing this right now, okay? And let me explain what a launch team is. A launch team is essentially a group of people who want to support you as the author for your launch. Now, the launch team can be as big or as small as you'd like. It could be 5 people, 50 people, 500 people, okay? And it can be comprised of anybody. Unlike most things when you're doing customer research, your launch team does not need to be composed of just prospect leads, alumni, clients, customers, etc. It can include family members, former work acquaintances, friends, people who you know got your back. And this is really important to understand because then it opens up for most people a lot bigger of a market for your launch team. Now, what the hell is a launch team supposed to do? Well, a launch team often does a few things for you in exchange for a few things from you. And here's the most common types of things. A launch team person will agree to buy your book on launch day, agree to leave an honest review. They'll agree to post about it, to share about it, and even make introductions. And what this does is this gets your initial wave of buyers, your initial wave of momentum, so that you can start building proof of concept and start driving sales once your launch day actually hits. Now, in exchange, oftentimes authors, for someone being willing to be on the launch team, they'll give an early copy of the book so that the person could read it before launch date. They'll give a advanced product, or they'll give access to something that typically would cost money, but they'll give it to them for free as being part of the launch team. Maybe they'll do a private Q&A. Maybe they'll do a meet and greet. Depending on your audience size and who's comprised of your launch team, these different things that you give them can vary, all right? And when you have this, what happens is that this builds your street team. This is like your core. This is like if you were to have a bullseye, this is the center of the bullseye, and these people are going to help you find these outer layers of future readers. And the really cool thing about a launch team is you feel that instant support and you feel like you're not doing this alone. And so when you combine your launch team, your initial buyers, with the paid traffic step one, the paid launch where you set your specific price and drive people to a specific page, now what you've done is you've created very clear urgency of where to go and how to buy. And you've created a list of very clear, intentional people who are willing to buy right away and to share it with many other people in their audience. All right, so that's the second step. The third step to bring it all home is if you're trying to be an Amazon bestseller, you need to make sure that your book's data is optimized for bestseller status. And so the third step of this is to create the right categories and keywords. Now, when it comes to categories, if you remember, the definition of becoming a bestseller is to be the number one book in a specific category on Amazon. Now, before I show you why this is relevant, I need to make sure that I state something. If your book is about financial management, do not try to use the category of Chinese cookbook. Our goal here is to be as much in integrity as we can with the book topic, with the categories that we put our book in. You're able to put your book in, as of now, 3 categories for the ebook version and 3 categories for the paperback version because there is the Kindle store as well as the bookstore on Amazon. That gives you 6 chances to hit bestseller status in these various categories. But again, you want to make sure that the categories are most resembling the book topic that you're about. And there's 2 reasons for this. 1, you stay in integrity, which is really, really important. But 2, if your book's in the right category and it's a niche category or smaller category, you're giving yourself a chance to increase the visibility of other people. For example, when I launched my book, Elevate Beyond, which was my first book, it was a Millennial's Guide to Standing Out in the Job Market, I put it in career development and vocational guidance. I didn't just put it in business. And the reason for that was because if I just put it in business, I'd be competing against every business book in the world. And while I'd love to be the top of every business book in the world, as a first-time author and as someone who understands the importance of being specific, I knew that that wouldn't get me the same visibility. So I put it in career development and vocational guidance among several other categories. And not only did I become a hot new release, which increased my visibility, but I was able to climb the bestseller rankings faster, which led to more exposure, which led to more sales, and the cycle continued. And that's what ended up kicking off my speaking career. So category selection is really, really important, and you want to really make sure that you find the right categories. One of my favorite tools, if you're going to do this independently, is Publisher Rocket. And if you're going to have our team or you're going to work with a publishing team, they will do the research for you and pick the categories for you. We do this for all of our clients. So that is why category selection is so important. And then you couple that with the right keywords, making sure that the keywords are what people are actually going to search when they read or when they want to find a book like yours. And so when you do these three things, you have the paid launch, you have the launch team, and then you have the right category selection, you've created urgency, you've created visibility, and you've created initial buyers. This is momentum, this is urgency, and this is visibility. This allows you to really hit the ground running in a way that is sustainable, but also gives you that initial burst, which makes it a lot of fun. One thing that you're going to see when you launch your book is you're going to have tons of emotion, and it's going to be fantastic. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. What the hell's happening? Oh my gosh, so many people are buying my book. People I didn't even know followed me are buying my book. Enjoy that. Celebrate it. And this leads me to the final tip I want to share, which is a bonus tip. When you launch a book, have a launch party. Celebrate the heck out of that. Not only do I believe that launch parties are so fun and exciting, my first one, I had a taco. I brought a taco person out to my parents' house because I was still living at home at the time. And then I've done one on a rooftop. I've done one in several different locations. I've done one at a house that I rented. I've done one. I did my fourth one in a room where we rented out the room and we had food, and you can curate however you want. And if you want to learn more about that, feel free to ask me, but have a launch party. And on one hand, a launch party is awesome because you just get to celebrate yourself and your accomplishment and do it with the people that are around, the people that want to support you, often people that are on your launch team. And that's just so fun. It's so rewarding, and you did it. So celebrate that. But the second reason that I love launch parties is it's one of the best ways to get a lot of sales in a concentrated amount of time. You can have people buy the paperback there and then buy the ebook online. You could have people buy the book on Amazon and then get a free signed copy in person. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that, but not only do you generate a ton of book sales, but at a launch party, you get a ton of attention and content for your book. Think about all the people that are there. They're going to take pictures of you. Think about yourself. You could have someone come and photograph you with your book. Get 50 photos that you could use for content. People getting photos of you interacting, photos of you signing copies of your book. This type of content can be used on launch day and then every day and every week moving forward. And this is one of the greatest things. It also allows you to have social proof. There's so many benefits to getting this type of content. And there's no better way to do it than by having a launch party. So that is one of the 3-step processes that I believe is the simplest way to setting yourself up for bestseller success while also building the foundation of what will become a long-term successful book. So I want to recap. Here are the 3 key components. Number 1 is you want to make sure that you have the paid launch, which includes a specific launch price and driving intentional traffic. The second step is to create your launch team. This is the people who are going to be your initial street team of buyers and leads. They're going to be the people that drive the initial sales and awareness for your book, momentum. And then the third step is the category selection. You want to pick the right categories that are in alignment with your book's topic so that you can increase your visibility and also increase your chances of ranking as the best-selling book. And then, of course, the bonus is to host a launch party. So that's the process that I would encourage you to consider if you're thinking about launching a book in order to have a best chance of bestseller status as well as the best chance of long-term book success. So look, if you enjoyed this, I wrote a book called Big Idea to Bestseller. It's the exact process on how to write, launch, and profit from a nonfiction book. I want to give that to you. Okay, you can click the link down below or you can go to bigideatobestseller.com/free-book. And all you have to do is you go there, you just input your information, you pay for the shipping, and then we will send you a free copy of the book. And that book goes into depth around the launch strategy, and it goes into a lot more about the entire process of writing and launching a successful book. Now, if you already have a book and you're like, Jake, I want to either relaunch or I want launch and I need your support. I want to do all these things with you, but I want to help implementing it. We can help you. We have a full service book publishing and launch company that supports authors doing this exact thing. And so if that's you and you fall into this bucket, then go ahead and visit bigideatobestseller.com/call and you can book a call with our team. Tell us about your book. Tell us about your idea. Tell us if you want to relaunch, if you want to launch, run a bestseller campaign, get on Times Square billboard, whatever it is. And we'll map out the strategy to help you achieve that. So I appreciate your time and your energy and everything that you've done to listen to this so far. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time.